Oh, this is actually the coolest part. I'm gonna put it as a teaser section in the beginning of the video. Let's talk about the Gen 10 Pokemon leaks from Teraleak 2. Please be a part of the discussion. Comment your thoughts down below. Leave a like on the video and share it with everyone because we got some crazy stuff going on. Also, I have a playlist. There's gonna be like a dozen videos from all the things that's come out of this now that the person that did the Teraleak went, oh, ZA has been released? Here's everything. Pokemon Gen 10, Pokemon Wind, and Pokemon Waves version. Theme, Infinity. And there's a lot of details about what that Infinity means. Directed by Shigeru Omori. So that actually gives me some comfort, because Omori slept on as one of the better people working at Game Freak. Masuda, the GOAT. Morimoto is the ultimate GOAT. Why doesn't he direct more Pokemon games? Why didn't he direct Pokemon Let's Go? I'll stop. No, I can't. Pokemon Legends is a disaster that's killing Pokemon. Worst idea ever. Should have continued with Pokemon Let's Go. Just make Johto. Make every Pokemon fan love Pokemon again. Whatever. Masuda, though, really strong. However, he got, like, kicked out of Game Freak or shuffled around. He got sent off to pasture, and at least he's happy. I'm happy for Masuda. He's building Pokepark, and there's a wonderful interview that I did a video on, so I might just, like, throw that into the playlist so it'll autoplay after this video. He's living his dream. Problem is, he's not a Game Freak, so we really only have his homie left. Like, Omori, doing a great job. Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, best 3D Pokemon games. Sun and Moon, really strong. Actually, like, really good games, especially, like, if you consider Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon as, like, the definitive Generation 7. But, like, Sun and Moon was good. It just didn't last, and, like, people overhated on it, had some, like, weird stuff going on. But Sun and Moon was good. Everyone just, like, cheated, and then there was no content left because it was all really fun post-game quality of life. Sword and Shield, great. Scarlet and Violet, really good. But like Sword and Shield, just also goated games, especially with DLC. It's like you look at this, like, okay, Omori being in charge of Gen 10. I like it. That has to mean good things for this, especially when we get into the project, except for some of the other details. So it's like this war inside of Game Freak. We got the old Japanese dudes holding it down, and then we got just Zoomers or untalented new developers or weird DEI stuff coming in that's complicating everything. We'll get into it. So, original setting for Pokemon Wind and Waves is Indonesia and Southeast Asia. I kind of like that, where we just have like all these islands for Wind and Waves representing infinity, where you just go from island to island and like build up your Pokemon exploration. That's cool. Note, this info comes directly from Shigeru Omori's documents in 2021. Contradicts information about it being based on Greece. We don't know if the region setting changed during development, or if that was just like fake or something, or maybe that was like just they were just looking at groups of islands and went, Greece, Indonesia would be cool for the forest theme we're going for. But like, this has been conceptualized since 2021 for a game that's coming, like, should have been out this year. I think 2025 was planned, or Gen 10 was planned for 2025, now 2026, 5 years of development for this massive Nintendo Switch 2 project. So we have the overall inspiration, just notes about the game. The theme is infinity. The world has endured since ancient times and will continue into the future. Past generations entrusted something to the future. We now receive that something and live on, entrusting it to the next generation. So there's like this seed Pokemon that evolves and adapts, and I guess that's what this thing is. That like as long as this seed lives on, the world will live on, and then it ties into the legendaries. Driven by that unseen force, people are propelled forward. People, nature, and Pokemon are connected. I like that theme where it's just like, yeah, connecting the Pokemon and the real world, people and Pokemon living together. That's why I think the story of Generation 8, Sword and Shield, was so good. And that's why you can also see it with Omori. Omori actually, like, ties together the Pokemon world and tries to give us a Pokemon experience instead of just a Pokemon game where you're just, like, thrown into a region by default and just kind of do whatever. So he carries that passion that Masuda has, which is kind of neat. Driven by that unseen force, people are propelled forward. What kind of world can we leave for the next generation? So the winds and waves of the time, storms and whirlpools. Unseen force casts nature, brings forth abundance, gives birth to peace. Unseen force destroys the environment, breeds pathogens, and spawns conflict. Is that both sides of the coin? Like, the winds are like the future, but the waves are also the destruction, which also like makes sense. It probably has like a deep tie to Japanese folklore or just Japanese people in general, because earthquake happens, tsunami comes in, devastation, and before we had like modern times, like entire village, tens of thousands of people gone in an instant. So like waves are bad, but waves are all like, actually, yeah, the wind can be ridden like over the waves, but the waves are the destructive ultimate tidal force. So, ooh, but then like at the same time, like Omori writing this as like the notes for the game, it's like, I don't like when you get a little too soft on it. It's hard to call the modern world a good one. I feel sorry that this is the only world we can leave for our children. That's the case, that I want them to acquire the strength to survive in this harsh world. Unless it's all, unless like I don't know if they're trying to relate this to the real world, or if this is also like something about the current state of the Pokemon world. In which case, I also think that that's a detachment from established Pokemon lore, which is what I hate about Pokemon Legends as a series. That's like, nah, it's actually like really good and traceable, where we have the emergence of technology in the earlier generations of Pokemon, and then the adaptation through that. And now like it's this overly cynical environmentalist view that's like polluting Pokemon and also a lot of other things, where it's like, no, the Pokemon world seems to be holding it together just fine, and that's why we're a 10-year-old kid stopping the calamities of legendary Pokemon, because we've already dealt with this. We've already dealt with like environmental disaster and evil people, and it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like, oh, Team Magma and Team Aqua are going to destroy this fragile environment. We need to care about the world because it's not a good one. No, you just beat up the bad guys and everything's fine, and then we can just live out our happy little fantasy adventure. So like, why is all of a sudden like, and we have a timeline. We have like 20, 30 years of timeline for the Pokemon world. It endured for hundreds of years, thousands of years, with the Darkest Day, with the Ultimate Weapon, with all the other wars and strife throughout the Pokemon world, and we're in a pretty good time. And then there's like a little blink of an issue with some legendary shenanigans, and then it's all fine. So like, how is it all of a sudden, like, in the last 3 years, the Pokemon world just decays and becomes an awful place? I hate that view of the Pokemon world, and that is exacerbated in these fake stories from Pokemon Legends. So this is the story of parental responsibility and children's rights endlessly passed down through every age. But I guess I mean capturing that cycle, so maybe we're in that extra bad time of cycle. I don't know, just because the way that everything is politicized, even like in Japanese culture now, especially through Pokemon, and especially with the Pokemon Company International, like being complete woke slop, I feel like this is tied too much to the world, but also there is that crisis. Kids aren't going outside anymore and experiencing Pokemon like how it was in the beginning. Traditions are decaying. The cultural values are being eroded and not passed on. So like maybe that, like, it depends on how much in the environmental part you go to, but at the same time, it can also be like a recognition that's like, yes, this is actually, the world is failing because the people are failing. That's a thing. So play that continue, and then we get into the infinite. Play that continues infinitely. Land that expands infinitely. Evolution holding infinite potential. That's like really cool. So roguelike, just procedural, because like you just you go to the next island, you go to the next land, and it's all just made procedurally, but the Nintendo Switch 2 can handle it because finally we're on a real console, so we can make a real Pokemon game. And then evolution holding infinite potential, which goes into like the seed Pokemon. So like, as long as I don't, and I guess it's also just like, maybe we can trust Omori. Hopefully we can trust Omori to not beat us over the head, because it's supposed to be, you know, we're supposed to escape into a fantasy world. We don't want to be beaten over by the harsh realities of the real world, or actually like have that tie in too much, because like, oh, there was the global warming crisis in the 90s, but that didn't pollute our games as much. Like, it did infect media quite a bit, because that's like all you heard on the news, and that's what a lot of like children's shows just tried to cram into your brain or something. But I didn't feel that in Pokemon. We were just allowed to enjoy the Pokemon world because it's a fantasy world where these problems don't have to exist in a long-term kind of way. So Pokemon Wind and Waves, legendary Pokemon. So Storm, package Pokemon. Roll is Old Man, lives on an island that repels people, possesses power to correctly guide people in Pokemon with power of wind, only accepts humans that properly raised breed Pokemon, and then Wave. So like the package is like the pitch. So roll is an old woman. So storm, I guess like storm, wind. So that's like the old man blowing away. Like unless you're worthy, you stay out of the sacred islands or whatever. And then waves is an old woman. So I like that, finding traditional values and ancestors and respecting elders and stuff. Lives on an island that repels people, has the power to correctly guide people in Pokemon with the power of waves. Only accepts humans who have properly raised. I thought it was seed, but maybe breed, whatever. Yeah, the seed Pokemon. So we have like some other things, translations. I think there's like an auto translation from Spanish Teraleaks into machine translation. It's like, yeah, we're just doing extra translation shenanigans. Battle mechanic, which could be translated into weather moves, which is, it's on theme, but I don't know what that gimmick means. And then here's like the core mechanic that the game is built around that's actually kind of neat. Baby Pokemon of species encountered in resort areas. So it's like we have the seed Pokemon, we have the pre-evolution. This Pokemon is rarely seen in this land, and no one has ever seen its evolved form. When you go to the island where the package lives, it begins to evolve. Okay, maybe the package is actually something else. Like, it means something else. Said to have infinite variations in this form. So, there appears to be a new mechanic, type of special Pokemon Generation 10 called Seed Pokemon. A baby Pokemon of the wait. Seed... I thought it was like a seed that, like, interacts with the legendary? Unless, like, pre-evolutions are seeds now of various Pokemon species. And then infinite variations. So, baby Pokemon of the seed species can be found in resort areas. Seed is unevolved form. It's a rare sight. Its evolved appearance is said to have infinite variations. So, like, yeah, it's still kind of weird. And now, again, we're like, generation not even revealed, mega leak stuff from, like, 2024, I think, is when all this data has come from. But the idea is, like, oh, infinite variations. The way you train and raise the seed by going through the infinite islands and infinite progression and journey until you meet the legendary Pokemon. I should probably just, like, skim ahead and then come back to you guys with the details. Affects the seed, and then it has a variation, and then that's like your own unique thing that you created from your adventure, which is actually really cool. In Pokemon Wind and Waves, you start your adventure in the Big Resort Hotel. Apparently, they want this hotel to serve as an MMO lobby. I mean, like, I think that's Centro just embellishing because they're just stupid as people, and they only just disseminate leaks, and whenever they try to add any kind of commentary into it, it usually goes terribly wrong. Where you can see other players. Like, it doesn't mean MMO is massive multiplayer. That's a hub area, where, like, in Splatoon, you just go to the hub area, and there's people. Or many games have this. It doesn't mean it's MMO, but it also has, like, that multiplayer lobby kind of feel, where you just throw in some models to prop it up. So this is from early development. We know Game Freak likes to scrap ideas. So again, like, they're just stupid note. That doesn't really mean anything about this. They're like, yeah, this is too good for Game Freak to do, so it's probably scrapped. Even though it just seems like a basic feature that has no reason to not be in as a part of the game. So we got some quotes. This is a rare Pokemon that lives only on this island. It seems that when it evolves, flowers bloom, but no one has ever seen it. So, okay, so it is like its own separate species. Again, like we're on translations of translations trying to be given out by Centro through the mysterious Teraleaker who has somehow survived this long to be able to give all the Gen 10 details. Still kind of a mess. And then, according to legend, it has an infinite amount of forms. So, like, different size flowers, different color flowers, different blooms, different shapes, different initial body type from the seed. That's kind of neat. Pokemon Wind and Waves. Game Freak wants to tackle the jungle environment, which hasn't been fully seen before in Pokemon games. Survival in jungle will be one of the main themes. And I hope it's, like, bro, like, if that is how they go, if they can actually add some kind of real survival elements to the game and make it to where you get that infinite progression at your own pace, in your own way. It's like, yeah, I build my secret base, which can be a treehouse. Or, like, they just bring back secret bases. Let me make that my hub where I can restore my Pokemon and craft my items, and then we just get to play forever. And that could just be the sickest Pokemon game ever. And it's like, why didn't we have this before? But also, the Nintendo Switch could absolutely not run this. So we have to wait for the Nintendo Switch 2. And it also proves that Nintendo doesn't have power over Game Freak. It's like, well, Nintendo needs their release for this, so that means Game Freak is forced to rush out games because of Nintendo. No, completely unfounded nonsense, especially with this, where it's just like, oh, Game Freak wasn't forced to make Gen 10 by the time Nintendo Switch 2 comes out, so Nintendo has more content for their next console launch. Whatever weird delays and weird stuff has happened has actually like hurt Game Freak to not just have their Nintendo Switch 2 game ready for next month, 2025 November. They're doing whatever. They decided to drop the ball with Pokemon Legends ZA, but maybe this could actually be like the sickest Pokemon game ever. If that's how that plays out, that you're actually surviving, and then you get all the resources in your little roguelike area, and you move on to the next to progress to find a different assortment of wild Pokemon being spawned, different challenges and levels and stuff, and then you progress that way into the coolest thing ever. So yeah, we got this image, which looks like Lumineon from behind. I don't know why it's got like some glowing snot, and then like this weird shadow kind of makes it look like a different kind of beast. But like, that's a picture. This image leaked a few months ago, and we purposefully ignored it as we didn't want to distract from Legends ZA. See, like, we have the least trusted leak source, but because they have Peruvian magic keeping them from being copyright struck, we're just stuck with their nonsense. We're just stuck with their BS, not catering, something words, curation. Like, we are stuck with these idiots curating and embellishing real leak information, while also majority, like most of the time, they also just disseminate fake leaks because they pull it from somewhere and it's like, oh no, that was actually someone faking. We have like real leaks to talk about, and they just need to grift and farm instead of being like legitimate leakers in the Pokemon community. Now it's all just completely garbage. So yeah, like, oh, we're not allowed to see anything about this, but it is real. Pokemon Winds, Pokemon Waves. Yes, you can explore underwater. That's like another cool thing about it. It's like, oh, there's the diving mechanic is back, and you have an entire underwater section to just fully explore and get lost in and dive through the depths with and stuff as a part of your procedural generation through this South Asia inspired island, whatever, island hopping craziness. Like, that's awesome. That actually seems like a really cool idea. And yeah, I think I'm just mostly upset because like there was the weird thing where Mega Zygarde leaked back in August, but no one talked about it. It was just like on the Pokeos website as well. Where did that come from? Was that like something weird from the Teraleak that just kind of came out? Did someone pull that because it was just a part of the save file for one of the demos and someone got to sneak it when like one of the Pokemon employees wasn't looking? Where does all this stuff come from? Also, Pokemon Legends Ho-Oh-Lugia, so this could be a separate video. Like I said, I'm going to get like a dozen videos out of all this stuff. We'll talk about those other things. I did a timeline video showing like, oh, what's happening for the future Pokemon and how this. So to explain the Infinity theme, procedurally generate new islands. The region is infinite and changes. Which is pretty dank. Oh, this is actually the coolest part. I'm going to put it as a teaser section in the beginning of the video. But yeah, we have the concept, screenshots of Pokemon Wind and Waves. Like they've developed the idea. They have made an attempt at this, where it's like you are put into a jungle setting that is procedurally generated. It is Pokemon in this open world environment. Good luck, have fun, survive. And it is like, bro, it is the Nintendo Switch. Like like Game Freak has done incredible damage to themselves. Like, why get over ambitious with Pokemon Legends just destroying your entire franchise when you could just coast? Just coast on Let's Go until a better console comes around and Pokemon could have actually just made it and be exciting and hype. Like, yeah, this is really cool, but will Pokemon even survive another year for this to be good enough? Who knows? I hope, but like yeah, cool. But we'll be balls deep in Power World and Animo at this point, and then we'll see if Game Freak can actually still make good Pokemon games with all this. That is actually really cool stuff. This is what I want to see. It's definitely not going to be this detailed, but the idea is just kind of there. This was Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but in the end, we know how it went. Switch 1 versus Switch 2, you idiot. But yeah, they've had these like ideas for the concepts as well. And now Nintendo Switch 2 could run this hopefully or something, and then whatever. Looks like that. Where are we? Yeah, so we got more screenshots. Like, see, and I like this idea where it's like, oh yeah, this feels like roguelike, island hoppy, just development. They spit out some kind of terrain world, they populate it, you get to explore a little, you get to swim around a little, move on next, good luck, have fun. And then we also have the big tourist city, so also like a nice little hub you can bounce back to as well. And then you progress, and then story, and then you go to the legendary island, GG easy. Actually really cool. See, that's what I mean, like, the technology means they couldn't have done all this really cool stuff, but Game Freak had to tank all of their reputation, all of their faith in the brand, before actually getting to the really, really, really cool part. And why was it, like, this needed to happen this year as well. Like, they could have done Let's Go Johto last year, and then we could be here and a month away from the greatest Pokemon game ever. Instead, now it's just, like, the worst timeline. That needs to be its own discussion video, probably. Like, comment, subscribe, check out all my other videos. So, yeah. Where were we in all these posts? And that's homepage. Central leaks. And going back to, like, Central leaks being embellishing and stuff, I have no words. Just put the leaks in the bag, bro. No one cares what you have to say. Like, you don't matter as people, and you need to understand that. Every Pokemon can be ridden or touched. Sure. Interactivity. Yeah, it's kind of like going over the screenshots, concepts, designs. Legends 3 is Galar. That's going to be a future video. Teraleak can never be topped in Pokemon history. Just put the leaks in the bag, bro. More screenshots. So there we go. Like, now it's like, oh, this actually looks like it's on Switch 2 hardware. So they have the systems where it's just like, there we go. That's like the rudimentary battling, interacting with all the Pokemon, and then they populate it. And then it looks like that, and cool. That's all it needed to be. It just needed to be more, like, filled-in environment of Scarlet and Violet, and then you make small little isolated areas so it can render a lot better, so you can fill more things into it. You explore the jungle, you got your little campsite, and then the game is just awesome. Bro, they actually could have done this on the Switch! No! Don't make me think, like, this concept goes back to, like, 2020. They could have... This should have been Scarlet and Violet. Ah. Like, because it actually runs better by being a smaller island than loading the entire open world region. Yeah, it needs its own discussion video. Because it sounds like this massive thing, but if you just make smaller, digestible parts, it actually works better! Oh yeah, I've lost all faith in Game Freak. Wow, they have Pokemon Legends Galar. Actually, like, I thought it was more concept, but like, it's just going. Where it's not the Dynamax, Gigantamax phenomenon. We get to the source, the core, while exploring the Galar region. Even though it looks like they just put in like raid mechanics and shenanigans inside of Pokemon Legends Arceus is like a tech demo kind of idea. Yeah, Galar concept art. More old school Galar. That's pretty cool. It also like explains like where all these ancient structures came from, which is also kind of cool. Old Pokemon capture device. Never mind, it's Pokemon Legends, so it's awful. And that's what I mean, like, why do we have the Steampunk Ball when we already had Kurt Balls, and then thousands of years ago, they had ways of catching and taming Pokemon for the Great Pokemon War, like the Darkest Day and AZ and the Ultimate Weapon. Project Seed is not only the dream multi-region Pokemon game, so I think that will be the next video, is the big multiplayer MMO game for 2028. Alright, there's more Pokemon Gen 10 Wind and Waves stuff to talk about, but that's going to have to be another video because this one's gone on for so long, and then we're just burying other gameplay features and details and stuff. And yeah, it's like, we don't know if Gen 10's turn-based. Even if it is, it's pretty... like, everything they like or don't like, they're like, but they change it. Because Central Leagues is just brain rot cooked on like, oh, but real-time battling is good. depending on the reception of ZA, they could decide to port. They could decide it, even though we just kind of saw the screenshot showing traditional Pokemon battles for Gen 10. Also, all the other internal documents suggest, like, main series stays. Like, Legends is where they do action combat and go in a different direction for a different audience. And main series stays core Pokemon, including turn-based, and that's in these documents. And Centro, every time they just see something like, but it could change, because they are just complete frauds. There we go, guys. What else is there to say?